Welcome to Lydia Nicole's Acting Smarter podcast. If you are an actor and you want to level up your career and your life, you have come to the right place. So, today, the burning question is, what are three mistakes actors make in the audition process?
Holy moly. Don't be, they act crazy. They're not there on time. And, I'd rather focus on what they do right rather than the negative. So that's kind of my model is, be early, be nice to everybody, literally the minute you drive onto the lot, and just be prepared to play. When I teach acting classes, I always say, don't use this audition as this is going to change my life. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be successful. Everyone's going to love me. No, you're going in there just to expand your circle of people that know you. And you're doing what you love, even if it's for 2 or 3 minutes in the audition. That's what we love to do. So do it, enjoy it, and you never know what's going to happen.
Awesome. Awesome. What do you love most about actors?
Creative minds. I My happy place is in rehearsal with other actors, and it just fills me with such joy to be there. I've always mostly my career has been writing with other people, and even on a sitcom, you're in a room full of writers in a writer's room. I love that back and forth and being creative and brainstorming, and so to be in a room with actors because I was an actor since the age of 7, I understand. I've been in the shoes of an actor. It's just we create this little pie whenever I make a play. If I'm writing it or whether I'm directing someone else's script, I feel like we make this little pie all together. We all put our little ingredients in, and then we give it to the world. And sometimes we give it to critics to go. Luckily, most of the critics have loved this. What I have made. There have been those occasional times, but that's just part of the process.
What's the difference between um, rehearsing for theater as opposed to rehearsing for a sitcom?
Theater, you have just more time to play. In a sitcom, you start usually on a Monday, you're filming it on Friday in front of a live studio audience. So you have very limited amount of time. And again, everyone's being paid by the hour. In theater, you can really dig in and discover things. And it's also with most plays, if they're not new plays, they're already written, they're set. Even though I've done a few plays with some TV actors, and they're like, Stan, can't you rewrite the end of the scene? I'm like, no, it's like George Bernard Shaw wrote that, or Shakespeare. I can't change that. I would like to rewrite a few of them, but I can't. Um, so that's why I do love directing plays that have been published and produced. But there's also the joy of working on new material, and especially material that I've written, because then you are really, if you cast right, you can mold the piece to these actors, and they bring so much to it. Um, the first time I was directing, it was actually at the Celebration Theater many moons ago. I was directing a play called Gemini, written by Albert Eduardo, and it's one of the longest running Broadway shows, and I'd seen it when I was at NYU in New York. And I didn't know anything about directing. Someone like offered me this amazing gift, which changed my life. So I ran to the drama bookshop on Sunset Boulevard, which unfortunately is not there anymore. And I'm just like, give me a carton, throwing in books on directing. And one wonderful book I read by Harold Clurman talked about for the director to read the script many times, but each time through each character. Just take that one role and read it in your mind through that character. That's why I like to do smaller casts because it's very time consuming, because each actor will come up to you and ask a specific question. What is my motivation? And that has really helped me even in my writing. When I work with my writing partner, I said, that actor is going to come up to one of us and say, why did I say this, that? Because every character has an arc. And so they are thinking from their point of view. But as a director, you have to think from all their points of view to make the whole picture.
For those of you watching, I now would love to introduce you to a magnificent sitcom writer, director, and actor, as well as producer, Mr. Stan Zimmerman. So I just want to give you some of his credits.
Yeah,
I
let's
know
not just
everybody
say
talks,
sitcom writer, because I know that
well,
sometimes,
writer, but
yeah,
you've made a lot of your bread and butter from sitcoms. right? There you go. So
Golden
that
Girls, yes.
that shirt is the actual credits from Golden Girls, which
Yes, believe it
Stan
or not.
wrote on.
Yes.
It is he also did Gilmore Girls, a very Brady sequel, as well as Brady Bunch, which they did not give you your credit for that. Um, and he has done not only a lot of sitcoms, he's also written and done a lot of pilots, which I want to get into as well, and directed a lot of theater, which I find so wonderful, that you're not Stan. If you didn't hear earlier, he started out as an actor at 7 years old. He thought he was going to be an actor. He went to NYU for acting, and then somewhere in the middle of NYU, he transitioned to write with his partner James Berg. And you guys have been writing this whole time
And we still
together.
are. We have a movie coming up this Christmas, a Lifetime Christmas movie from a Jew, yes. And it's a very exciting cast. I can name a couple of them. Maybe someone you might have heard of, like Donna Mills and Linda Gray and Morgan Fairchild. So it's very much on brand with me in writing
It
for
sounds like Dallas meets Knots Landing.
Meets the Golden Girls. Uh, it's very campy and funny, and I can't wait for everyone to see it at the end of the year. But the reason I gave up acting is because I went in one audition I'll always remember when I was still at NYU. It was for a TV pilot to play a page in Washington, and I went in and literally I could feel the skin on my face shaking. I was so nervous. And I thought that the auditioner definitely like saw my whole body was shaking. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. And I think I was so young then and I was not comfortable in my own skin. And somehow with writing it felt when you went into a room that they already liked you because they knew you're writing, I don't know, it just felt more comfortable doing that. So that's why I kind of kept going more towards the writing, and those doors kept opening for me.
What I
Yeah.
think is fascinating is you gravitated to writing, but you still had to act in those rooms when you were pitching your idea. So that to
Oh,
me is fascinating. How you said, "Well, writing, acting's not for me. I'm a write," but in order to sell it, you got to sell it. You have to play the characters. You have to give them stuff for their imagination.
but
You can't
nobody
just go,
told
"This
me
is
that
about."
when I was writing. I just thought like, oh, you write a script in here, they like it. And then it wasn't until I was actually moved out to LA. I somehow talked my writing partner into moving to LA. I was working at the Vista movie theater selling tickets and making popcorn. And we got offered a meeting on a new ABC sitcom. And we went to the meeting. We're in the lobby, and we hear the writers in the meeting before us, and everyone's laughing. And we're like, we didn't write jokes. We had to write jokes. And they didn't want jokes. They just wanted you to be yourself. And that's the same kind of thing with acting. And I always tell that I teach a lot of acting now. I've been doing yearly at the International Thespian Conference, which is a yearly group for high school students. And nobody taught me when I was going to high school what people like me look for when you come to audition for me. So I think the only writer showrunner teaching acting audition classes from a writer perspective. And I use my own material. But it's coming in and just being yourself. I always say, I can't cast you unless I see you. So be you. Don't be thinking, what do I want? You have to show yourself. And all of the quirks and the weirdness, like we want that. So it's like scraping away all this other stuff that we think is needed, and just bring yourself to the role. No one's going to be like you in that role. So just it's like putting on, if you and I wore the same green turtleneck, we would both look different in it because we would wear it differently. The same thing when you read lines. So I teach from that point of view, is that we're all special, and to bring that out. And it was the same with writing. My writing partner would always say, why can't it just be the words that get us the jobs? And I'm like, wake up, I want to do like a moonstruck, snap out of it. So much of this business is who you meet and communicating with them, whether it's at a party and stuff. It's not just the words. because when we work in this business, especially with television, it's so many long hours. You want to have people that you enjoy being there with. So, yes, it is material, but you also have to be able to communicate who you are and that people want other fun people to hang out on set with.
What made you want to teach acting to high schoolers?
Well, the funny thing is that when I was growing up, I have a sister 4 years younger, and we used to play in the basement. And somehow I created like a schoolroom. We had a chalkboard, and I played teacher. So she was this little kid before nursery school. She knew how to handwrite, longhand, yeah. But she yells at me today because she says she still holds her pencil the wrong way. But she could write. You could write. You may be wrong, but you could write. So I always felt like if I hadn't gone into writing or entertainment, I really love teaching. I love inspiring other people. So my old assistant, Jason Wood, who's now the head of casting at Lifetime, actually, he was started teaching acting classes as many casting directors do, and he called me and he said, can I use some of the material of pilots that never went that you and Jim wrote? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no one else is reading them. And I gave him a bunch, and then he said, oh, you should come and watch the students and kind of give your opinion. I was like, that'll be fun. I've never seen actual humans read these scripts. So I went and I gave feedback, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's such great feedback. And so then he said, come back next week because I think that was really beneficial to them. I said, all right. Week 2, I'm driving and I'm a little late. And I call him and I said, Jason, I'm going to be, 10 minutes late. He goes, oh, I'm not coming to class this week. I'm stuck in like Colorado. You're teaching. I'm like, what? And that's how I started teaching. I just fell in love with it. And I just love the back and forth with the actors. And also, I feel like it makes me a better director. And I've met so many actors through my teaching. And then I put them in my plays and or they'll ask me to direct them in things. It's just a great way to meet people and take classes. And so I taught at a number of schools. I did a 3 week workshop where it would start with under 5 roles, so just like you're the barista or something, and then like a little co-star, like 5, 6, 7 lines, and then a series regular. So it really took an actor in 3 weeks the gamut of what you would go through. And then a lot of the students said, we want to keep studying with you. And the teachers were like, oh, they're never going to stay with you. So I opened my house and I started teaching on my house, which I did for many years. And then I did online on Zooming during COVID and kept that going.
So okay, I'm gonna ask you some of the specifics because you just gave a wonderful. I think what you teach is fantastic. To start with someone who's just starting acting, that that most of the times they're only going to get 1 to 4 or 5 lines, and what is the what are the guides for an actor to know when you go in for 1 to 5 lines what you I know you like to work in the positive, but
Yes.
there are things you should not do when you go in for those
Okay. One,
lines.
when you go in, a lot of actors I find say, so like did a show on Lifetime called Rita Rocks. So that was the title. So if they had a scene with Rita, a lot of the actors would be like, well, she's the star. I'm just in the background. And I say, no. Nicole Sullivan from Mad TV played Rita, and she said, bring me people that are going to play with me. She wants a tennis player that's going to, or like tennis or ping pong. You can't play with one person, even if it's just 2 lines. Give She wanted people that were like alive and very specific. So when you come in there with one line, really create a character around that line. So I talk about that in my class. I may give away secrets to your people just for free. What I do is I tell my actors, put on a piece of paper 3 categories: what you know, what you don't know, what you make up. So even if it's 1 page size, write everything you know about your character. And it could just be uh, handsome and intellectual or something. That's all you know. Everything you don't know. I don't know what city it is. I don't know. Is he married? Is he single? Does he have kids? Does he drive? Does he take the bus? All the stuff. And then the third column, you make up all the things you don't know. So I know a lot of actors, like, you could get mad and saying, what's wrong with these writers? Why didn't they give me more description? Well, instead of being mad, now you get to play. So you get to make it up. So you're coming in and you always feel like have come in with choices. So just let your mind go. Oh, I think he's a barista, but he really has a PhD in psychology. So he's just doing this to make money, but he analyzes everybody that comes in to get coffee. So already you're coming in with all these little specifics. We don't know that as people that are in the room with you, but we could think, my God, it's so interesting. What is he doing? Rather than just thinking, oh, I'm a barista. I don't have a name. What is that? So again, it's bringing yourself or making choices of your character. So I will even have actors, and I found this out years after I started teaching, when the student, if it was, let's say, just a barista, gave that character a name, changed everything. Because just in your mind, you're thinking, I'm just a barista. No, you could still use that feeling, like, I'm a barista. No one knows my name is Stan Zimmerman or something. Just if it's a funny name or weird name, whatever it is, it just gives you specifics. You don't have to tell anybody. You know, we can tell. We can tell, especially someone like me when you come into my room, because I'm a director and I'm very sensitive and intuitive to people. And a lot of times people will come into a room and they'll like bury, they think they're burying whatever, I'll use Yiddish, mishigas, any stuff that's happening in their own life. But what I see is they come in and they kind of, push it under the rug. I see them kind of trip over the rug. So I know something's going on, and I'm saying use it. And I
Mhm.
learned that actually when I auditioned for NYU, and I had this monologue from Dark at the Top of the Stairs, and I had it all planned out. And my hand was going to be raised on this line, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm all blocked out. And we got there, and they had the whole room, and they're mostly transfer students, and I was 17. And I noticed all the actors, they just put a chair right in front of the auditioner and just talked naturally. And I went, holy, can I swear on this? Holy fuck. I had to just like push everything away that I had planned, just sit in the chair and talk. And luckily, the monologue's first couple lines were, "You ever get a sick feeling in the pit of your stomach?" Which is what I really had. So I was doing method acting without even knowing what method acting was. I just spoke honestly. And that was such a lesson in I was just being me and I let all the nervousness putting it into the scene, into that monologue. And luckily I got into NYU.
You just made an important point, and that is you were flexible. You were flexible when you saw what it was. Can you talk to actors about the importance of being flexible, not to, I'm going to do it this way. I don't care.
You make
can you?
definite choices going in, but I always, this is because I'm a very visual person. So I tell my actors, remember those big Crayola crayon boxes with the little sharpener in the back? And it's like 2 rows with all these colors. I say, put that on your belt like a holster. So you come in, you're going to be coloring with, yellow and, bright green or something. And if you come in, I go, no, no, no. How about do it purple and orange? So instead of freaking out, you go, I gotcha. You go into your holster, you pick out the crayons, and you start doing with that. You come with all those colors. And I tell my actors, because a lot of actors will say, oh, but I need this amount of time to prepare. I have to know the lines. I'm like, when you are, especially in a sitcom or a movie, as opposed to a play, you are playing yourself a little to the left, a little to the right. So I would say to somebody like you, how long have you been you without saying numbers? You've been you a long time, right? Just bring that into the room. You don't have to prepare. You are you. You know that. But you're many colors. You've been many different people through your life. So just take out all the different crayons that you've been or want to be and just play. And the people that can play in the room are the people that get the jobs. Especially on a sitcom. I will give a note just because I know during the week lines can change. I don't want somebody rigid on that set because they're just going to have a mental breakdown. They have to be able to roll with whatever happens. And sometimes their parts expand, sometimes they make it smaller for no reason, not because of them, just there could be a zillion reasons. So being flexible and having fun and just enjoying it. I mean, it's entertainment.
You just said something else that I think is important to billboard, and that is, do not get married to the lines.
But say the line. So a lot of actors, I think nowadays, because there's so much emphasis on improv, which is great, uh, but say the line is written. If you go into audition for Aaron Sorkin or somebody like Amy Sherman Palladino, every comma, we've argued about that in the writer's room with our writing partner. Honor what's written on the page. Do that once. Then you can feel free to, if you want to add like a joke at the end. Don't add jokes in the middle. Don't do stuff. Don't do these long pauses unless there's a dot, 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 or it says beat. We are writing like music. I think of it as music. I'm scoring it. These scripts are scored. I write in specifically beat, then, dot, 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 or I'll take off like if it says, uh, I ran to the store and just like ran to the store. There, if I have an I there, there's a reason I have an I. Don't add the I unless I put the I. There's a reason I took it out if that's how I think your character sounds. So, and they will tell you in on the breakdown, improv, or they will say do the lines. I also personally don't care if you memorize or not. To me, especially in comedy, I'd rather you have the rhythm of it than be you think you memorized it and oh my god, and we see in your head you wanting to I forgot something because things happen. You have brain farts and you forget something. I always say to actors, hold the script, hold the sides, don't leave it in the car, don't leave it in the outer room. We're not you're not getting the part because you can memorize lines. We want to know that you can have, especially in a comedy, there's a rhythm. Every writer has a rhythm. And I say, when I teach, one of the first things I do in teaching, I ask the class, what do you know about me? And I see who went and Googled me and found out. When you go into a writer's room, you never know. Someone say, oh, you're from Detroit. I grew up in Detroit. I'll always remember that person by that. I'll write that down next to their name. So just find if there's any link or something, or maybe something like, oh, I love the Brady Bunch. You come in and you go, sure, Jan, or whatever it is. Remember, there's zillions of people coming in. You want to have that connection.
You want to be memorable to the people you're auditioning for.
But without doing it as being memorable. If you are yourself, you're going to be memorable.
Right, but being memorable means you took enough time to find out who they were, not to show yourself as the big poobah, but that you really wanted them to know that you're just as interested in them as you would like them to be in you. And I think that is um probably one of the top 10 things that actors need to know when they are auditioning. They must know what they're auditioning for, who they're auditioning for, what they've done, because the business is small. I might go in and audition for you and go, oh my God, you worked on Just My Luck. You worked on, is that
Don't say
Just Our
that.
Luck?
Yes.
Well, no, I looked at that. I was like, oh my God, TK Carter, that's
Oh,
my friend. I love
oh,
it. I have something now. I have something to talk to you about.
yeah.
You wrote on Fame. Oh my God, that was
Janet Jackson's
I
my
went up
friend.
for that.
Yes.
That was the show I was trying to get on, and then when I got on it, they canceled it. So I now have something to that is specific with you that I could talk to you about. And I think that is so important. Actors not to be lazy, but that it's not just learning the script and doing your work, it's knowing who is in the room. I think that is especially because it's about relationships.
I was just teaching at a castle in France. I know somebody has to do it, but it was mostly writers. But I said that to them. I said, what we do, it's called show business. So there's the show part in actors as well, where we have to we're asked to open our heart and being vulnerable, and then we have to put on the business. That show hat is some beautiful plume or whatever you want to wear, but the business part is like a pit helmet. Have to like a construction site. You got to be strong. So it is being able to work the two hats, and they're very very different. But enjoy it. Remember, because when I was young and I got so nervous, I thought, oh, I'm just going in and being judged. But what I realized from this side of it, when you walk in that door, I'm praying you're the answer to my problem. It's not cast. Please be so good that we can cast it. And especially in a half hour sitcom, we can move on to the next role because there are always new roles coming. So remember, we need actors. Otherwise, our lines are just words sitting in our computer. We need you. So we're all in this together.
I wanted to go back to something about not uh not being rigid with the lines. I didn't mean I loved what you said because I think it's important to do the dialogue as it is written. I was privileged enough to work with Neil Simon on a movie,
Wow.
and I remember we had an actor who was hot at the time and thought they could get away with saying whatever they wanted to. And Herbert Ross, who was directing it, shut down the set. The set got shut down. He berated the actor and said, "Do you know who wrote this? This was Neil Simon. Are you a writer? Are you do you?" He said, um, he said, what are the lines you're doing? Oh, it's in the script. He said, show me. I know the lines in the script. These are not the lines. He shut down the set for about a half an hour, had him go sit with the script supervisor and memorize the lines that Neil Simon wrote. And that was one of my early jobs, and it never left me. I mean, was coming to set with my lines all learned anyway because I was so scared that I might get fired if I missed something, you know? So it was like, I got to know the lines. But um, with sitcom, you learn the lines, but then you have to be willing to let go of them because they change them. So you have to be readily open for line changes because you might get 10 different lines in a day. They may give you one script and another script, and then the lines you thought you had, they're something else, you know. And sitcom is its own beast. You know, every medium has its own thing, but sitcom, you as an actor have to memorize, but you have to be flexible to go, okay, that script is gone. We're on a new script, you know, and depending on the writers of that show, they may change it every 5 minutes during shooting to go, oh, that's not working. Change it. That's not working. Change. I saw that on Suddenly Susan when Sherry Shepherd was on it. I went to a taping and I had done some sitcoms before, but I was so in awe of how quickly they were changing the lines. If it didn't come out of the actor's mouth right away, they were like, they just stopped the cameras and then they gave them a new line. They fed them a new line.
But say the line as written first and give it your all. And then if it doesn't work, then they'll know. We will know it doesn't work. Or if you do it and it's shot, you could say, hey, I had another idea if they're open to it. But don't go in there just like, well, I'm going to just change it, move the words around and
Oh
do
no, don't touch the writer's lines at all. That is not your job. Stay in your lane.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying that at all.
yeah.
You
I
as the
know.
actor stay in your lane. Do not touch the writer's stuff and don't try to direct anybody. That is not your job because you get that a lot. You'll have actors trying to direct other actors so it benefits them. And that's not your job either. You
Nope.
are the actor. Be the actor.
That's a lot right there. Just do that and love it and enjoy it and find the joy in it. And I know even there's some shows where as a writer I didn't love writing on it, but I had to go to work and I had to find the joy because I had made a commitment to be there. And that's kind of just in life. It's just find the joy in what you do because especially with writing, you're there so many long hours. You actors get to go home and we're there till 2, 3 in the morning rewriting it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
indeed.
And writers deserve all the money they get
Wow.
and more.
Yeah. I mean, the
I
beautiful
am
thing about Golden Girls, and I've never seen it before or after, almost every interview with the ladies, one of the first things they say is, we're here because of the writers. They acknowledge the writers, and that I will never forget that, and I'm always grateful for to them. And I'm like, yeah, there's the writing, but it's B. Arthur, it's Betty White, it's Estelle and Rue. I mean, they were the best of the
But
best.
there wouldn't be
Yeah,
or Estelle or Rue without the
yeah.
script. It is writers make actors' job look easy.
Well, the funny thing is that on many of the I'm on the Golden Girl fan pages, and there'll be these discussions. Oh, that scene, they were at the kitchen table, and they just made that up. That's all improv. And I'll start no, we sat there. Every line is written. I said, but it's a testament to the actors that they're so good. They made it seem like it was improv. But during season one, they said every single word that we wrote.
And it's important.
Yeah.
I want to what I love about your career is that you have expanded your curiosity about the business, your curiosity about this thing and this thing is I saw on your website how many directors you shadowed on TV shows. And people don't consider that. Again, it's everybody thinks, oh, you can write, yeah, you're a writer, you can do that, and they don't see the painstaking, um what it takes to be a writer, how long it takes, how many rewrites you have to do, how long you're in the room by yourself, struggling, pulling your hair out, overeating because you can't figure out what's working and what's not, getting mad, getting depressed, having a meltdown. And when you have to do it on sitcoms, you don't have that luxury of time. You have to get it done in a few days. You don't have that luxury to go, okay, I'll come back to it next week. It's like, no, you got to figure it out now. But that you um went, okay, I love writing, but I think I like directing. I want to know what was the seed that made you go, I want to pursue directing.
I mean, I was directing in my basement in second grade when I would have um, classmates come and I'd make up plays and I directed and create them and kind of write them, I guess. And my second grade teacher said, "Oh, put them on in front of the rest of the school." And she was the one that called my mother and said, "I think your son needs to go to acting school." And that's what got me into real training at such a young age. Um, but when I started directing theater, it was the Celebration Theater. They had asked me to direct something, and then everyone kept saying, "You're so good after the first play, but you're such a TV sitcom person. Why are you not directing sitcoms?" So I really took a year and I shadowed on like 13 different shows. No one would give me a job. All the directors were clinging onto their episodes and they saw me come in and they got really nervous. And I was like, and then some shows I went on, they thought I was there to help fix the show. I won't name names, but I'm like, no, I'm not here to fix the show. I'm just here to learn directing. I learned a lot. I grew my circle, got so much bigger. I met so many actors that I would just sit and talk to, guest stars, and I put them in plays. But I did learn a lot, and I'm so glad I did it. It was not a waste of time. I would like to have been given an episode. I still don't understand. And these producers would come up to me and go, "You're so perfect for this." And, I would be watching them and I would whisper and go, "They don't have that shot." Like I knew they didn't have that shot because I had been in editing on my shows. I knew what was needed. And I kind of had to whisper it because I didn't want the directors to think like I'm tattling on them. And I thought, well, I could do this. But then I got so involved in more theater that I was like, maybe that was just not my path to do a sitcom. I was supposed to direct on Rita Rocks in season 2. I had it in my contract. And then Nicole Sullivan and her co-star Tisha Campbell Martin both became pregnant. And we had to rush back into production. And there was just a lot of drama around getting the show back up and going and running the show that I just said, oh, I'll punt that to season 3. And then, unfortunately, we didn't get a season 3. So grab that
Wow.
opportunity. But I did get to direct
Yes.
a couple of web series. One I love is called Sex and Execs. I got Mindy Sterling from Austin Powers, her first Emmy nomination. So that was very exciting to go to the Emmys with her, and uh, something that I had not only created the show but directed her in.
One of the things that I admire about you is that you are continually directing theater. During the pandemic, even though we were in the pandemic, you were directing theater.
It was not going to
You
stop
were
me.
like, we're doing a play. Okay, wear your mask. Okay, we're coming to the show.
I was not going to let that stop me. For some reason, I was like in the zone. So I also was knew a lot of theater owners. So I thought, you're having a hard time. How can we keep your theaters up and going? So I did a lot of readings of my plays that I would put together with all-star cast, and we would do them on Zoom, and we did them as benefits so that the theaters could have some money coming in. Then I took on this huge task. Right before the pandemic, I had this crazy idea. I don't know if you know Wendy Wasserstein. She
Yes.
a great playwright, I think the first woman to win a Tony for playwriting. Um, so I had this crazy idea. She started with the play Uncommon Women and Others, and that she did in college. So I had this idea of doing stage readings to see one writer, this woman who changed my life. Uh, she written 3 plays. I did 3 readings, 3 different plays of her career in one day, an 11 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, and a 7 o'clock. So some people bought tickets for all 3, and it was an ensemble cast that played the roles, because I really wanted to see how she was as a young woman to suddenly, before she died of cancer. And it was all to raise
You
money.
did your own version of Nicholas Nickleby.
I was a
Do you
nut.
remember that play?
Of course, I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
it
yeah.
live in New York. It was one of the last plays I saw before moving to LA. But I wanted to celebrate her. I wanted to raise money for her fund, which brings in high school acting students to see a full season of Broadway shows. So like a group of 10 kids go to every single play in one season. Like I was like, that's
Wow.
an incredible gift. And then they meet after and have like pizza and dinner with one person from the show. Uh, anyway, so then I did that live before the pandemic, and then I did a huge version of it through Playbill online with a cast of 30. Crazy. Yeah, that was organizing all of that was wild. And then when there was a little glimpse of, oh, we could open up a real theater. I went in October of 21, and I did a new play that I had called Have a Good One, um, about 4 people that work at an Abercrombie and Fitch type store.
Which
In,
was fabulous.
yeah,
Which was fabulous. It was
um,
delicious.
yeah. So that was kind of crazy. But I'm such a crazy director that if people remember those stores, they had this perfume, like a cologne. I bought the cologne and I sprayed the doorway. So people went walk and I didn't tell anybody. So the audience members came in and they go, it felt like I was back in that store. I could smell it. And I go, really? It's crazy. The little things like that I like to do as a director, because to me it's not it's sound, it's smell, it's visuals, it's colors of costumes, it's the actors. It's like painting in a way with live people.
Yes. I want to get into your love for women, in that throughout your career, a lot of the stuff that you've written on, like Roseanne, you created Rita Rocks, you wrote on Gilmore Girls, you wrote on Golden Girls, you also directed Anne Frank on in the Latino version, or Latinx as you call it, but I call it Latino. Um, it You have an affinity for women in your stories. Do you know that? Do you know that
Of
you
course I
you
do.
you
Oh yeah. I
you
think
lean more to the women, even though you have a show that you've done called Silver Fox about gay men, but you tend to have a big affinity for women, just like you were talking about Wendy Wasserstein. It's that what is that? I love
what
it, but
is
what
that?
is it?
I think part of it is that women are more vocal. So I just feel they're more interesting to watch and to write for because they're not holding it in emotionally. They, well, maybe it's generalizing, but men are like, don't cry, don't really say what you feel as a man, and so I just love that the vocalness. I also attributed to, which I write about in my book. I had a very vocal grandmother, mother, and sister. So that's in the book. I talk about that, and the book is called "The Girls from Golden to Gilmore," and it's about all the wonderful women I've worked with, and Roseanne, and uh, I really celebrate that, and I lean into that. Unfortunately, when I was initially writing, there were not a lot of women in writers' rooms. There were not diversity in writers' rooms, and unfortunately, we had to be the ones that would raise our hand and say, "Can we give the character more of a description than she's pretty?"
There also wasn't a lot of gay men in the writers' room. You
No, so
were
we
one of the
yeah,
first
yeah.
to through Roseanne. You guys were able to make headway, but there, it was not diverse in any sense of the word, from women to gay men to people
No,
of color. It just
people
was not.
people find that shocking because Golden Girls was such a progressive show writing wise, but we were told to stay in the closet on Golden Girls. So imagine going to work every day and people would say, "Well, what did you do this weekend?" And I couldn't say. I couldn't say I was in West Hollywood, and it was also the beginning of the AIDS crisis. So I was living in Silver Lake at the time, and I said something. Oh, we went to this garage sale when I got all these sweaters, and the room just like was quiet. And they said, that person probably died of AIDS that sold all their stuff. You've got to go home and burn those clothes. It was at the beginning, so people didn't know. But remember, the crazy stuff we thought about COVID, but there was that homophobia. And so when you're getting that at work, you're just like, I'm just going to be quiet. And Estelle Getty was really the only one on that knew our secret. She pulled it out of us. She knew the first day we met her. She was like, I've told the story, but it was like the first day on the set we met her, and she's like going, "Come here, you guys," and she pulls us behind the set, and we're going, "Oh my god, we're gonna get in trouble." And she goes, "You're one of us." And I thought she meant Jewish, and she meant gay. So she was not gay, but she felt like an ally because she had done Torch Song Trilogy, and a lot of her cast members had died of AIDS, while she was doing the play.
Wow.
And she came out here, and she was every night going to different AIDS benefits and helping in any way that she could. She was one of the first, known stars that put herself out there. So it was a weird environment, and then we just got tired of living a lie. We were out to our friends, but not business wise. And then someone came to us and said, "We're doing a big piece in the LA Weekly," which was a big free paper back then. And would you be in the article and can we take your picture? And we're like, fuck it, let's do it. And against the judgment of our representatives, there we were and never looked back. It was very freeing.
Bravo. Bravo. Very courageous.
Yes, but then it turned into
Freeing, but also
on,
courageous.
on Roseanne. It was suddenly Tom Arnold is running through the halls. Where are my gay guys? And we're like, "You can't really say that, but and on some,
Well, he's a comic.
yeah,
He's a
he is a
comic.
comic.
He has that
No
he's
filter.
got that permission slip to
Yeah,
do whatever however way he wants to talk to people, cuz
it was meant out of
in
love.
comedy, yeah, no, in comedy it's stand-ups are the odd ones out, and so their humor and their way of dealing with stuff is very irreverent.
Yeah, well, we
um
would be in writers' room because Tom and Roseanne put a lot of their stand-up comic friends on staff. So we had a staff of 21 people. So Jim and I, my writing partner, they'd break up rooms, and we would get the rooms of the stand-up comics. So it was Norm Macdonald, it was Laura Keitlinger, it was Pat Bullard, all these people that had never written before, and they were and Lois Bromfield. You remember her?
yes, of
Yeah,
course.
so she was a good friend. And they were fucking hysterical, but I kept having to say to them, the jokes have to come out of character. They can't just be funny on their own. So we had to kind of teach them writing. And I was so thrilled, that a lot of them went on to have big writing careers.
What is something that you would like an upcoming writer to know, or someone who would like a career in writing, that you wish someone had told you when you started?
Just write from the heart. You know, uh, I've been teaching in the castle, the Rockaberry Writers Retreat, and the one common theme I tell them is, why are you writing this? Why do you have to tell that story? And find what that connection is to those characters or character. Don't just write plots, but write something feeling. Uh, Betty Thomas, who was Second City, and she directed the Brady Bunch. She taught us there's high frequency and low frequency. So low frequency is like um, stories about like your job or like your house or something, and high frequency is love or family or something that touches the heart. Go for the high frequency. That's where you're going to pull everybody in, and we all have it, and we all have a story to tell, and many of us many stories to tell, and to really get to that, and that's what's going to really make you stand out.
Who are some people in the industry who have, if not mentored you, gave you something that you still use today?
I mean, there's so many people. I have to say, Lily Tomlin was a huge impact on my life as a little closeted gay boy growing up in Michigan, and she was from Detroit. And watching her on TV and the characters that she did, and there was just something about her. I was drawn to her, and I made my mother take me to the department store and get her album and stand in line and get her to sign it. Years later, my first movie was written for her. We got it to her, and she got attached to it, and we suddenly became friends. And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, I'm having dinner with Lily Tomlin." like, um, so she really did. I think seeing like a TV show like the Dick Van Dyke Show, it was my first concept of, oh, this is what a writer's room was like. I think Norman Lear, and I finally got to meet him. I just was thinking, I'm never going to meet this man. I have got to tell him his show, all of his shows just changed my life, the way of thinking that you could do really interesting, smart writing and hit very important topics and still be really freaking funny. And I love that. I think people, if they look at my work, they can see that kind of thematic in all the plays I do. Um, they're funny, but there's always a heart. And I think as I get older, what I want to do, I don't feel the desperate need to be on a TV show. I want to do work, whether it's television, film, theater, marrying art and advocacy. I think that's why I've gotten involved with Anne Frank, my Suicide Note play that I've been doing. Um, all of those things have that commonality. Even in Silver Foxes, it was about a group of older gay men that we don't get to hear their voices. And what is it like growing older? Or I wrote a play, Yes, Virginia, about my mother and my housekeeper growing up, and how do women find a place to live as they get older and really can't be on their own and have dementia or issues like that.
Let's talk about the suicide play that you're working on, because you're also starring in it.
I didn't
You're
plan it. Sorry.
acting.
I did not
You're
plan on
acting.
it. And this is
You've come back.
not a
You've come
show.
back after all these years. You're acting.
Not showgirls. I wasn't like throwing beads to like knock someone out of the show. I created a show. A very very close friend of mine died about 10 years ago of suicide, and as a comedy writer, I didn't know how to deal with it, and I couldn't get the note that he had sent to his ex lover. So I started pulling up real suicide notes like Kurt Cobain and war veterans and LGBTQ and kids that were bullied, and I was hoping to find the answer in those notes of the why. And I decided to do something active instead of just feeling helpless. And so I created a play like Vagina Monologues with four actors sitting on music stands reading all these notes and really hard hitting facts. We did it at the Hollywood Fringe Festival in 2015. And then it got to a producer in New York and got this really cool director, Michael Wilson, a big Broadway director. And he said, when you talk about your friend, you light up. You're funny, you're heartwarming, you bring humanity. Can you somehow put that in the play? And I thought, well, I could create a narrator character, but it's not me. It's not me. So I worked on that and did little readings in my house. And every time my friends would read it, they said, "It's you. Just say it's I'm a writer from Golden Girls. Just admit it." And the more I was afraid to open my heart, I had never written by myself, and to put your heart out there was really very, very vulnerable. But I did. I kind of pushed myself through, and then we were doing a big reading, like I think on Suicide Prevention Day in Orlando, and I said, just hire somebody old and funny to play me, and they did. The day before the show, he gets a job, like a paying gig. The director said, "Kiddo, you're doing it. You're up." And we went to do a read through, and I got to the very beginning to my friend's name, to say my friend's name, and it got stuck right here. And I thought, if I let it come out of my mouth, I'll just be a puddle like Niagara Falls, and my glass is filled with tears, and all the actors are holding my hand. You can do it. And I did it, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been doing it with high school students in Claremont. I did it an East Coast tour last fall with Gilmore Girls cast members and Virginia Madsen. I did it in my hometown Detroit with Hill Harper. I did a virtual version with Blair Underwood and freaking Vanessa Williams. Yeah, that wasn't intimidating at all to look at Vanessa Williams on, and gorgeous and wonderful, and she's been so supportive of this material. And I'm doing it in the fall in Cape Cod and in Virginia and different communities. So my goal with that is uh, anybody can do the play because it's very easy to produce. You just need music stands and stools and few rehearsals. But if you want me, they can invite me to the community. And I've gone to Alabama to do it. So they work on it. We talk on Zoom, and then I fly in for a day or two, one rehearsal, and then I do the play with them. And it's been so meaningful. So it's only an hour play, and it's my first published and licensed play. But if you license it, you have to do a half-hour talk back with a local mental health professional. And to me, that's the best part of the play, is because I'm so open in the play, the audience starts talking and revealing their own stories and struggles. And it's just life changing.
And how can someone get access to be able to license it?
It's through TRW Plays, and they're a wonderful theater licensing company. They do the prom and the color purple, and I got connected with them through COVID, and they read it, and they also licensed Silver Foxes and my other play, Yes Virginia. So I have 3 plays with them, hopefully more, and they've been so wonderful and supportive. So it's been really cool to watch it being done all over the United States. Sometimes with me, sometimes without me.
Yay, Stan.
Yeah.
What I what I love about your story is that you came fully loaded as a kid. You were the actor, the writer, the director. I remember hearing an interview you did where you were saying how you would get these things in school to act, and you would rewrite it. So
They were
you were
terrible.
already in the writer's room. You were already like, okay, we got to fix this. We got
Yes.
so that
Which is really cute on a
your
7-year-old. Yeah, that's really attractive.
yeah. but that was already in you from an early age, and how you have been so dedicated and so uh committed to staying the course of being who you are as a creative, that you embody the wholeness of theater. You embody what it's like to be a writer, an actor, a producer, a director. And so we don't hear that a lot. Usually people are not hyphenated. They're one, they do one thing, and that's their thing. They do it well. But that you are a Leonardo da Vinci in your profession is beautiful.
Can I quote you on
Because
that?
I think I'm a Leonardo da Vinci in my profession. I like doing all of it. I want to know about everything. Okay, let me figure that out. Let me do that. Oh, that looks good.
I have to say, if it wasn't for my mother, to have that support, when most kids didn't. And she used to brag and say, how many mothers would go and buy their sons ballet shoes to do theater? And she really did. And, that's why it's so difficult with her passing, is that I don't have that person to come see my shows. And how I look at it now is, as difficult as it is, it's like now she has the best seat in the house, no matter where I do my plays all over the world. And so she's still with me in here, but I mean, I'm here because of her, really.
And you keep her memory alive. So she might not be here in the physical embodiment, but she is here because of you. That you pay tribute to her all the time. So that's the beautiful thing, is that you keep it going for her.
Yeah.
She brought you as far as she could, and now you keep it going, and hopefully you'll be able to pass it on to others to keep going. But
Well, that's why, like, I keep doing Anne Frank, and especially for school groups, is that that story is not being told, and so it's a way for me to give to these kids, and a lot of these kids come, and it's the first play they've ever seen, and they're seeing kids their own age or kids with their own skin color up there, and they will be forever changed. And that's the beauty and the power of why I do this or the suicide play. It's provoking conversation and using this art form, and that's why I just want to be doing it every weekend that I can.
well, you're a hero.
No.
I support you. I applaud you. I am grateful to you. I'm grateful for you mentoring my daughter. So, because you're passing it on to her as well. You have put a lot of care and attention in helping her craft a show that it has been wonderful as a parent to see her blossom, her grow because of your input. So,
Well, I knew the
thank
minute
you for
I
that.
met her, I was like, this person is really special. I can't let this person out of my life, even though we had just a little moment on a live radio show. I was like, I gotta find her and that stalker and somehow have her in my life. So you, again, I just attribute so much to mothers because I know how much you've given to her, and we are because of our mother.
Yeah, that's our job.
Yeah.
I think every mother's job is to raise the best young person they can, and give them as many opportunities as they can. So when they get older, they're not regretting, oh, I could have done that. Oh, I could have done that. It's like if as a parent, you can introduce your children to as many things as possible, you make them a better citizen of the world. And today we are all citizens of the world, thanks to technology and internet. We're all global, so the more we know, the better equipped we are. So I just believe that. But I have one last question for
Yeah.
you before I let you go. And we didn't really touch on it, but it's such a big part of your career, having a writing partner, collaboration. If you could just speak a little bit on the importance of right collaboration, wrong collaboration, and right collaboration.
I lucked out in that we really set up this little company when we were just in college. And we had this crazy idea. We had the name of our company, and my name would be first Zimmerman Berg, but his name would go first in the credits because it looked better this way. We decided really early on we wouldn't talk during the weekend so that Monday when we came together would be like, oh my God, this happened and that happened. And I think that's kind of kept this odd little marriage, working marriage, so exciting and alive, and being there for each other. When someone is down, the other one, like, come on, we can do it, and vice versa. We've had our little bumps along the way, and I think one of the bumps was like he didn't want to do a certain project. And if I hadn't pushed through and done the project, I wouldn't have directed that play. I wouldn't be here. So there was a reason I had to accept, and then now he like wants to work more, and we're doing Silver Foxes together and traveling with that show. Um, so it's career is riding all of that. But I'm so fortunate that I met someone as unique as him, and that he's been my best friend through this whole journey.
And what would you tell somebody who would like to collaborate with someone else to write? What should they be on the lookout for?
Oddly, one of the few good things my father said was, when you're in a partnership, like the good things you did together and the bad things you did together. Don't like be, oh, I did this line or I did that or I brought that. everything is together. So I kind of forget, like, we're in this together, and we'll. It's so funny. We had just have this little thing, like we'll just say, "That was a good day. We did really good, didn't we?" We're like really, we just buck each other up, and because you will go through a lot of shit in this business, and just remember to have a friend to laugh with it. We just laugh together at all the stuff. We go, "Do you believe they did this or this?" Or Roseanne said, "What? Oh my God!" It's been so great to have someone to have this journey, but also, like you said, with my mother, he brought me to a place where I could eventually write by myself, direct by myself, and then come back to him with all this extra knowledge as well. So we've had, luckily, and it's just, I think it's luck finding the person that you can, like any relationship or marriage, that you want to go through this crazy life with.
I think it is some luck, but I think also you have certain values that you bring to the table, so you attract certain people. You know, if you think, well, the first thing you said when we were starting this interview was, I don't like to focus on the negative, I like to focus on the positive. So your spirit is going to attract more people who are positive than negative. You know, and I think in collaborations you have to be aware of what it is that you put out,
That's why I'm
because if
still
you're
single.
putting out,
Yeah.
well, I think you're still single because you have so much stuff you got to do by
Okay.
yourself.
And that may be my
No, you
role as
know,
well. Yeah.
but that love will show up. It will show up. The right person will show up for you because you something will click in you that says, "I'm now ready.
But
I'm
you
now
know what?
ready for
I feel so
partnership."
much love from all the people that I bring into my life work wise. It's my heart is so full, and I feel so fortunate, and I still can't believe how lucky I've
Expand the heart a little bit more to bring that
been.
special person in, okay? Just
All right,
expand it a little bit more because there's more love there. It's
all right.
not,
I'm ready.
you're not at capacity.
Okay,
You're never,
I like that.
love is never something you're at capacity. Oh, I got enough friends. That's some bullshit.
No, I know
We
that.
we don't ever have enough.
Always
I
room
mean,
for more.
it's
Yeah,
that's right. We good people, good love, good food, good good uh going back and forth, you know, where we get to exchange stuff. That's life. That's a good life. And your guy is coming soon. I just want you to know he's
okay,
coming soon. If nobody told you that, I'm telling you now.
okay. Thank
Between now and next year, you'll be finding him. He might have a French castle. Who
Oh, well,
knows?
I like that.
Who knows? Who knows, my friend who travels the world?
Yes.
One last thing I want to say about you is that you are a go-getter. So everybody who's watching this, he's talking about luck, but the truth is that he has worked his ass off. He has put so much time, so many hours, so many days into what he does. And he's always looking to uncover, how can I make this work? Where do I need to go? How do I? He's always looking for the next job. He's a good example of of the book that I love, Who Moved My Cheese. He's always looking, where's the next piece of cheese
Hey,
coming from? So he's not sitting on his laurels. He's not waiting for anybody to give him, even though he's got a writing partner. He has ventured out to do stuff that he was interested in. So I want you to know that um, success does not come from you sitting and waiting. It comes from you trusting, believing, and doing, moving forward, taking those steps, trying to get your vision to come forth. Everything that he just shared in this whole interview had to do with him birthing forth his vision, birthing forth. He didn't talk about all the negative stuff, all the pain that birthing brings. You know, when you're having a child, those birthing pains are real. They're hard, but once they're over, you're so happy you have the child. It's not that you forget the pain, but you go, it was worth it. And everything he has done, he is telling you it has been worth it. So if you are interested in being a writer or a director or an actor, somebody in the business, or maybe not even in the business, but whatever you're interested in, it is going to be painful. There are going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be disagreements with people, but that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you let it go. It just means you are on the right path. So keep going.
You're alive. You're alive. You're feeling it. They're
Yes.
all good. They're all feelings.
Yes. So Stan, where can we find you? If I want you to be my next director, where can I find you?
Or actor. Somebody just offered me a little part in a movie. I'm said I'm all into improv and saying yes and. Find me anywhere, zimmermanstan.com or zimmermanstan on Instagram. And my book is on Indigo River Publishing, and it should be out momentarily.
So thank you for joining us. This has been Lydia Nicole's Acting Smarter podcast. And until next time, take a step and do what you said you wanted to do. God bless you.